Hello once again to everyone, and welcome to our webinar, which is a part of OneCI on Air set of webinars. It's called Localization Best Practice for OneCI Products. My name is Anna Lvovskaya. I'm Business Development Manager at OneCI International, and I will be the host today. And during my speech, I will introduce the main speaker of today's event, Nadezhda Fokina. So we've got some topics to cover today. First of all, I will do a short introduction about OneCI products all around the world. Then Nadezhda will talk about the best practice, how we work with the localization process, which tools we have, which processes we have, what kind of team we have in order to manage all of that. Then of course, we'll provide you with some valuable links and resources. And at the end of the webinar, we'll have a Q&A session. So if you have any kind of questions regarding localization or translation, please do not hesitate to write it down in the chat area. We will gather all of the questions and try to answer them at the end of the session. If there is not enough time to address all of the questions that you have, we will answer them directly to your email. And please don't worry, the recording of the webinar will be available on our YouTube channel. And the presentation that we will be showing to you today, we will send it to you after the webinar. So let's start with the very beginning. What is OneCI around the globe? Right now, OneCI International, being the international division of OneCI company, is working on developing OneCI business all around the world. Currently, there are more than 1 million companies automated with OneCI products all around the globe. You see some dots on the map here. That's a scheme actually, because you see OneCI products are working in 95 countries all around the world. Currently, OneCI products are working in 20 different languages. So you might understand that we, as the international division of the company, are facing the issue of localizing products all of the time. This is our daily job. We have got 3 key products for international markets. The first one, of course, is the platform, OneCI Enterprise Development Platform, that is being translated to 20 languages. Then there is OneCI ERP, which is an ERP system for medium and large enterprises that is being translated to 4 languages, that is working in 4 languages. And of course, OneCI Drive, ERP system for small and medium enterprises that is working in 6 languages and some dialects. And in order to manage all of that, we're using some tools, which is an integration tool that helps to extract all of the lines to translate from the applications. That the tool is called SmartSync. Then we have got a CAT system that we're using. CAT system is a computer-assisted translation system. We're using currently SmartCAD. Then we have got some editors tools that we're also using. One of them is called Verifika, and another is SmartEdit that will be presented to you really soon. Of course, you understand that I'm not the right person to talk about all of that important things. This is why I'm really happy to introduce you to Nadezhda Fokina, who is the head of Localization Team, and I'm giving her the virtual floor of today's webinar. Please welcome Nadezhda.
Thank you, Anna. Hi, everyone. Let me please share the screen. Let me know if you hear me well and if you see the screen and everything is okay. Okay. So, my name is Nadezhda Fokina. I've been working in OneCI International for 2 years, and now I hold the post of Head of Localization. I have overall 9 years of experience in localization as a part of Localization Team. I took part in localization of such products as OneCI platform-based products, Microsoft, Oracle, Lenovo, and others. I also have 6 years of experience in 1C products development. Nowadays, the 1CI localization Nowadays, the 1CI localization team takes part in localization of 1C platform, which translated into 14 languages in cooperation with our partners. We also localized the ERP system, which has 2 main editions, Russian and World. The Russian edition is being translated into English only, and the World edition is being translated into English, Polish, and Italian. They differ not only in languages, but also in the functional part. 1C Drive is the application developed by 1CI. It is translated into 5 languages and some dialects. 1C Corporate Performance Management is translated into English. We do also localize libraries, such as Standard Subsystems Library and Cloud Technology Library. Last year, we translated not only the interface of the Standard Subsystem Library, but also the code itself. We also translate user and administrator guides, 1C Academy, and legal documents. Such a variety of products cannot be translated in a single way. We have different translation processes depending on the content type. For example, when translating the user interface and messages, the translation should be short and understandable. For this purpose, even some grammatical rules may be violated. For example, we can omit articles in the fields and button names. We also have to watch the length of the translated text to make sure it fits perfectly. In most cases, the platform adjusts the form accordingly, but sometimes we have to do it manually. When translating help files and user documentation, the situation is different. The translation should be stylistically and grammatically correct, and moreover correspond to the application itself. It seems to be a rather challenging task, and we have constant changes in the interface translations. Here, we need a steady editor to be responsible for the translation. Release notes and marketing documents have to be not only translated, but also transcreated in order to make sure that the translated text erases the same emotions as the original text does. The translation has to be accurate, but sometimes we have to alter something to make sure that the initial goal is reached. The translation has to be provided by a single person. The subtitles translation has its own peculiarities. We have to watch the length of the translated text, and we also have to think about the pronunciation. The translated text should be pronounced like the fluent speech. If we decide to voice the text, we can just use the subtitles. Legal documents. They have to be translated accurately and consistently. It is very important to pay much attention to the stylistic part, and we watch the terms. They have to be precise and consistent. Translating of the source code. It seems to be the most challenging task. There are no ready rules for translating the code, but there are a lot of peculiarities. For example, the translated terms cannot be the same as the keywords in 1C enterprise script. The grammatical rules may also be violated. Sometimes we omit the articles and the prepositions when possible. Different terms or different words have to be translated in different ways, even if the same translation fits. Let's speak about the localization team. The most responsible person is the project manager. He or she is responsible for the whole localization process. The manager picks up the team, chooses tools, uploads the streams into the translation system, makes sure that all the translations are delivered on time, ensures the translation quality improvement. The terminology administrator is responsible for the glossaries. He or she defines the terms to be translated, writes definitions, translates the terms, and validates the glossary. Of course, we have many translators in our teams. Some of them are in-house translators, and some of them, or sometimes we work with translation agencies. As we have many translators, we need to make sure the translation is consistent and correct. For that purpose, we have editors. We prefer to have one editor per project or language. And we also have a localization engineer who develops localization tools and makes sure we experience no technical issues. Let's speak about the localization project. It has the following steps. Project initiation. At this step, we study the market, understand and justify the need to translate the product in a given language. This is very important, as sometimes in some countries we do not really need to translate interface, and the users in some countries can use the English interface, for example. We also count the words to translate, evaluate the budget, and at this stage we also pick up the whole team, the project manager, translators, and editors. When picking up the translators, we make test translations and validate them. We try to find an expert in the country to validate the translations. Here we choose tools and decide whether we use a translation system or not. The translation step, it starts with the glossary. Glossary is a list of terms with the definitions and validated translations. We find the main terms, translate them, validate. We also make style guides and send them to the translators. After that comes the translation itself. Editing is made by a single editor. The editor looks for mistakes and corrects them. He or she may also decide to change the translated text to be more understandable in the target language. It is fulfilled not only in full volume of text. Sometimes we edit only the most visible translations. Some translations, such as groups' names, for example, are not really visible to the users, so we can omit them. Before the release, we assess the quality of the translation. This is a completely new step for us, and I will talk about it later on. If the translation quality is bad, we make an improvement plan. If the quality is okay, we test the translated application, the localized application, and release. We face major challenges during our work. You can see some of them on the screen. For example, the smallest project we have consists of 15,000 words, and the biggest one, which is the ERP system, consists of approximately 2 million words. This is really huge, and that ERP system is translated in 5 versions simultaneously, and practically for every project we have daily updates. So we have to use a lot of tools in order to cope with such challenges. For that purpose, we've implemented continuous localization. Let me show you what it is. Here, we have an unlocalized application. We may choose to make translations right in the application, but such an approach has some drawbacks. Several translators cannot work in the same application at a time. The translations cannot be reused. The translators do not see the glossary. So in most cases, we choose the translation system. But the application itself cannot be uploaded to the translation system. We need to get translatable strings for that. So we've developed a tool called SmartSync. The tool passes or processes the application and gets the strings to translate. It also validates the code and generates a report containing information about bugs in the application. Some examples of such mistakes. The localization standards are violated, translatable strings are not arranged in a proper way, that date format is hard-coded, or translatable strings do not contain any text to translate. So the developer gets the report and corrects the mistakes even before the translation starts. When using a translation system, the translators see the strings only and they face lack of context. That is why we now publish a web version of the application for the translators to see the user interface of the application while translating. Now that we have everything ready, SmartSync uploads the strings to the CAT system. CAT here stands for Computer Assistant Translation. Its main advantages are the translation memories and glossaries. When a translator approves the translation, it is saved into the translation memory and can be used in similar cases, in strings with the similar source text again. It also has a number of checks to make sure the translation doesn't contain critical mistakes. Here, for example, SmartCat can be used. The translation itself is fully done in the CAT system in most cases. When the translation is finished, SmartSync gets the translated strings to deliver them into the application. It also generates a number of reports. The first one is the report for the project manager. The project manager gets the translation bugs report. It contains such mistakes as, for example, unexpected symbols, for example, Cyrillic symbols in translations into English, or, for example, parameters are translated though they should not be, as it causes mistakes, wrong date format, and so on. The project manager transfers the report to the editor. Another report, which is very important here, is the statistics, which is emailed to all the stakeholders. This is very important as the product owner can see the amount of the translation left and plan release accordingly. We need to perform the quality assurance. The editor uses Verifika. which is a third-party tool for QA. The tool Verifika finds some types of mistakes like typos, translation inconsistency, and so on. So the editor may correct such mistakes in the CAT system or in SmartCAT. But it is kind of difficult for the editor to work only in SmartCAT. The editor has to perform also in-context review. This means that the editor looks through the translated application to make sure the translation fits perfectly. For that purpose, we've developed a new tool called SmartEdit. It publishes the localized application, and the editor can look through the translated user interface and make any corrections on the fly. I will show you later on. When everything is ready, we get a localized application, run tests. They can be manual or automatic, and release. And after that, the process repeats. That is why it is called continuous localization. Let's have a look at the tools we use. SmartSync. SmartSync is a tool for processing the application and getting localizable streams. Depending on the settings, we can get only the user interface streams, help files, or even code. We may choose to translate only some subsystems if others are not relevant for a specific country. We may upload existing translations to the CAT system or not. It has a variety of settings. Now it supports the applications based on the 16th platform version. SmartSync also validates the application to make sure the localization standards are not violated. I've also mentioned SmartCAT, Verifika, and SmartEdit. Well, probably everyone here knows what SmartCAT is. This is a third-party web tool which has two types of accounts, free and paid. The free account is enough to localize a 1C platform-based product. In order to get started, every partner may contact us and the SmartCAT technical support will introduce an onboarding session for them. So I won't tell you a lot about it, but there are some peculiarities we decided to share with you. For that purpose, we've developed a guide called Localization in SmartCAT. It is available in our website. The most popular function of every CAT system is pre-translation. When a translator confirms the translation, it is recorded into the translation memory and it can be reused in streams with the similar source text. But you have to be careful when adjusting the pre-translation settings. Note that short streams containing 2 or less words can be translated in different ways according to the context. So be sure you do not pre-translate them, and for that purpose, please fill in that minimum word count in the segment field. If a project has more than one translation memory, the more relevant and valid translation memory is, the higher it should be on the list. Another important function here is glossaries. The translators and editors can see the glossary terms along with the definitions and choose the correct translations. You can also get prohibited terms in the glossary to make sure that the translators do not use them at all. Although SmartCAT offers a web interface to create, edit, and delete glossary terms, we in 1CI prefer to use Google Spreadsheets. It allows you to share glossaries with your colleagues, business partners, and outsourcers who have no access to your company's SmartCat account. To make sure the process of exporting your spreadsheet glossary to SmartCat seamless, your glossary structure must match the SmartCat standard structure. It is also available in our guide. Sometimes you do not want some text to be translated, as it may cause mistakes. For example, we do not translate any parameters if the code itself is not translated. To ensure this, we use placeholders, which prevent some parts of the text from translating or deleting. In the table here, we can see the examples of regular expressions commonly used for this purpose. You can also find them in the Localization in SmartCat guide. To avoid data loss, we recommend that you back up your projects in the following cases. On a regular basis, for example, once a week, before you update the source files in the project, or after all the translations and addition activities in the project are completed. We do it because in some time after the translation is finished, SmartCat archives and deletes the project. Though there is a ready-to-use tool here in SmartCat in paid accounts, you can create backups and then restore them. But if you use a free account, you are also able to make backups. For that purpose, please use these downloading of resulting files. As I have already said, it is really difficult to edit the translations in the CAT system, as the editor doesn't see the context and cannot understand if the translation fits the user interface or not. It is a good idea to perform in-context review, to open the translated or localized application and look through it. But in 1C-based applications, it is sometimes difficult to identify the string in the application. The editor cannot see the translation right in the interface after correcting a mistake. So we've developed a tool called SmartEdit. It publishes the web version of the localized application, so the editor is able to work right in the web interface. The translatable strings here are highlighted in blue. When the editor needs to change the translation, he or she hovers over the translated text and the edit button appears. After clicking the button, we see an additional window with the source text and the translation. We can change the translation and see the result immediately in the user interface. The editor translation is uploaded to SmartCat and approved. This tool is really easy to use, and it provides the context we need to make the translation process even easier. In order to understand the quality of the translations, this year we've implemented the translation quality assessment. In order to evaluate the translation quality, we need style guides, glossaries, the translation quality methodology, and an expert. We've developed our own translation quality methodology, which includes 3 criteria: adequacy, clarity, and compliance. 2 of them, adequacy and clarity, are the expert criteria. This means that the expert looks through the localized application and rates the translations. But it can be rather subjective. So the third criteria involves marking mistakes and rating them in order to make the evaluation objective. Let's see. Adequacy is a criteria that shows how accurate the translation is. The translation gets the highest rate if nothing was omitted or changed during the translation, and if the translated text corresponds to that in the source language. But often it is not enough for the translation to be accurate. So there's another criteria, clarity. It shows the stylistic part of the translation. The translation gets the highest rate if it reads as if it was initially written in the target language, not translated. And the third criteria is compliance. It shows the number of mistakes in the translation. We mark all the mistakes, rate them, and see the total penalty score. If it is higher than the agreed number, the translation is considered to be bad. If not, everything is okay. To make the process easier, we use Verifika. It is a third-party tool which shows such mistakes as typos, glossary mismatch, inconsistent translation, double spacing, and much, much more. It can also generate a report and show the penalty score. After the quality assessment is complete, the application is ready to release. Now, if you consider localizing your application, or if you already do it, we can share our expertise. We have some guides available on our website. You can see the links. You can use these guides to make the localization process even easier. We'd also like to share the tools we use. SmartSync, which is the tool for passing application, uploading the strings to SmartCat, and generating reports. We also believe that SmartEdit, the tool I mentioned, which is intended for in-context review, will be available for our partners soon. Well, if you have any questions, you can ask any of them now. And if you are interested in any of our tools, you can please email us. You can see the emails on the screen. And now we also have that localization@onesi.com email. You may write to us about any issues you experience in the localization of OneCI products or 1C products, or if you want to try any tools that I've mentioned, and if you just have any suggestions to make the process even better. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nadezhda. I think that you might stop sharing the screen now, and we will get to the Q&A session. Currently, we have got 3 questions, but maybe we'll get some more while we're talking. First question was from Ilya Shikhov. He is asking if there are plans to translate the platform, I suppose, to Portuguese language. So Ilya, the next language that will appear in the platform will be Arabic. It's currently being tested already, but we're not giving you any dates about that yet. Portuguese is being considered, but there are no exact plans about that. The next question was from Dmitry, and the question is about the SmartEdit tool. The question goes like this. Nadia, please tell us if SmartEdit always approve of what you did, or one can set translation status and after that approve it as a whole.
Well, right now it approves only the string the editor corrects or changes, but we have some plans for that too. And the next thing we're planning to do, maybe in some month, it will be available, I hope so, is to let the editor approve all the strings in a form, in a window.
Okay, so thank you so much for the answer. So Dmitry, for now, you're exactly right, but in the future, the tool will have more possibilities. Next question is from Pavla Akulov. If SmartEdit works only for web client or it also works with thin client?
For now, it only works with the web client.
Mm-hmm. And are there any plans to make it work with thin client as well?
Not really, not now. Maybe in future.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Are there any more questions right now? Or if you have any more questions, please do not hesitate to write them now in the chat area or email them to me or to Localization Team. The emails you will get in the presentation that will be sent to you after the webinar. So, as right now, there are no more questions. Let's wait several minutes. Maybe somebody is just like drastically typing in something that he has forgotten to ask. Okay. It looks like there are no more questions. So thank you so much once again, Nadezhda. That was a very, very interesting presentation full of different types of very important information. It was a real pleasure having you here on our 1CI on air set of webinars. And thanks, of course, to all of the attendees for being here with us today. I hope that you had as much fun as we did. And there is one question. You see, I was right. There was somebody typing the question in. Okay. Oh, a lot of questions, actually. Question from Andrei. This tool can translate only synonyms and software interface, or it allows to translate application code to English as well?
Well, speaking about SmartSync only, I don't speak about SmartEdit right now. SmartSync also has a setting which allows us to upload code also into SmartCAD. And as I have already mentioned, last year we translated the standard subsystem library, including code, and we used SmartSync and this function. And we had like 3 releases of that.
Thank you so much. Then there's a question from Peter Cross. If the localization issues that we're dealing with are only narrow to translation? Peter, no. Today's webinar was only about the translation process, which is kind of specific thing that we're working with. But we're dealing with different kind of localization as well. I mean, functional localization. As you have seen on the first slides, we've got a product working in different countries. So in each country, there are some specific functions that are expected to be in the product. This is why for each region for each focus region we're working with, we developed together with our partners a localized version of the product. And in that version of the product, there is the part of just translating the interface. And then there comes a product of developing the localized functionality. Hope I answered your question. Then there's a question from Dmitry. What is the difference between SmartEdit and Billis Translator? I don't know,
Right,
Nadezhda.
Dmitry? Right, there's another tool with a similar functionality, Billis Translator, and it also lets you perform the in-context review, and at this stage they look alike, but still now we have different plans for developing the products, and also I think it is quite easy to upload the application to use SmartEdit.
Okay, so this is a similar tool, but of course there were some differences.
Sure.
Okay, so there's a question from Pavla Kulov, one more. Okay, wait a sec. I knew that the questions were coming. Wait a second, I will just really fast copy them to Word for them not to disappear. So first question from Pavla. Is there a way to propagate changes made via SmartEdit, like fixing a synonym on the document's form, renaming client to partner, and later to be able to see this very change in the report connected with the document?
Well, probably this could be done, but using that SmartCat propagation function. So if you turn it on in SmartCat and you change the synonym of a document, and there is a report which has the same synonym, it will be the change, will be propagated by SmartCat. But still, we recommend the editors to look through them and make sure that no unwanted changes have been performed. That is why we here in OneCI, we try to never use that propagation function and to make sure that the editor fixes or changes every translation manually to make sure that this correction is right, applicable.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for the answer, Nadezhda. And then there is a question from Andrei, one more. If the tools we were talking about allow to translate the application help as well.
Right, speaking about SmartSync right now, it can upload the help files to SmartCat. So you can translate and edit the help files in SmartCat. If you choose not to, you can turn it off and you will translate only the interface strings. Well, speaking about the help files, they're like a single document. So when the translator translates a help file, he or she sees the whole document, and there is no such urgent need to do it in the application. We can open the application on the side to refer to it. So speaking about SmartEdit, well, maybe, I'm not sure, maybe in future we'll add such a functionality, but now it is intended for translating and editing the user interface.
Thank you so much. Any more questions? I will start saying goodbye. Maybe somebody else is, as we know, this is how it goes. Somebody else is typing some question right now. Thank you, Nadezhda. That was very interesting. Thank you, everyone, for those really interesting and deep questions. I hope that you enjoyed the whole webinar and you did get some valuable data out of that. Of course, you will receive the presentation with all of the links, etc. And the recording of the webinar will be available on our YouTube channel. You will receive the link to this recording once we upload it there. So no more questions for now, but please feel free to write them to me personally or to the localization team. Thank you once again, and I really hope to see you soon at our webinars, 1CI on Air. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.